All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with arguably the greatest of all time up until this point, 7-time world champion, Australian Cycling Hall of Famer, Jason English. Of the last 43 solo 24s, he's won 93% of those races. It's a significant history in endurance racing, not only in 24s, but 6 hours, 8 hours, point-to-point races. Very excited to have Jason here to share his significant insights for the WEMBO community. How are you feeling, Jace? I'm going to start with the preparation for the finale this year. You did the Hunt 1000 back in March. You're doing some reasonable kilometres every day. I think, me, Strava stalking you, you're at about 110 kilometres a day, a fair bit of work on Zwift, some intense stuff, some racing. How are you feeling? How has your training changed over this COVID period, and how are you feeling for finale this time around?
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess my approach years ago was to do these massive base Ks and to try and, just do as many crazy events as you can in the lead up. I guess that hasn't changed a whole lot, but where WEMBO falls this year, it's kind of in the middle of a school term, so there hasn't been an awesome build. That 1000K you're talking about is something that I did just after getting COVID myself, and I was kind of I did a tester. I did that event, and I felt okay. And because I ticked COVID off the box and could then get on the bike and actually ride, I thought, well, that's it. Like I can probably have a good crack at training up and now going overseas. Before that, I guess I was a little bit intimidated. Do I go overseas, risk contracting a virus I haven't had any exposure to, or how does that work? It's, it is a thing to kind of be concerned about as an athlete. And then I managed to string together anyway a few events. Did a 24-hour up in Brisbane, and once I completed that 24-hour up in Brisbane, I was like, yep, that's it. I know I can do a 24-hour. Let's go and put together a few more training weeks and see if the logistics all line up in preparation for being able to do this event. But you talked about the physical preparation. I'm always aware that a 24-hour race, it's not just about your training preparation before. So many other things to try and organise and the logistics around that. So that's been some of the biggest challenges I've had. But saying that, well, yeah, the 24-hour, it's not just about the fittest guy that wins. There's so many other variables in there, and that's why you don't know how you're going to go unless you put yourself on that start line.
And you've got a 260K race. I think you're about to leave this interview and drive to this race this weekend. Is that the last thing you're going to do before you bolt yourself into an oxygen tent or, put your legs in your recovery sleeves? Do you go into a taper, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so this event, I guess if I wasn't doing this event, I'll just try and find a 5 or 6 hour ride each day. And so this 260 is going to be about that same sort of distance in the one day. It's an event, so there'll be people that'll be pushing me beyond what I want to do, which in a 24-hour, you're sort of a little bit more self-paced. So yeah, after this, still a couple of weeks out. So I'll actually try. So this event's on a Sunday, back at work Monday to Friday. So I'll probably have a last, hopefully fairly big weekend before I jump on a plane and head over to Italy. I just hate the idea of, being fresh on a Sunday, then jumping on a plane and traveling for the next 40 hours going, oh, come on, I want to go and do something instead of sitting down all day. So hopefully can get in that last big weekend, and then it becomes a forced traveling, check the track out on the sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will most likely be a day off the bike, and then jump into the race on the Friday.
Yeah. Excellent. Now, you've been at this game for a long time. 24 solo racing, endurance racing is hard on all of us. You accumulated a condition, a relatively rare condition. It's pretty much only elite sports people get it. And it's endofibrosis, which is, from what I understand, sort of like a hardening of a vein or hardening of arteries around certain points in your leg. And that can take a lot of power away from you. That knocked you around for a few races in 2017, 2018, etc. You've no doubt overcome that and come back to full strength now to a greater or lesser degree. Get that right. And has your experience with that changed the way that you approach your racing now? And has it pulled a little bit more, human mortality back into the machine that is Jason English?
Well, I think I first developed symptoms around 2012. So that's when this first condition, it's basically your blood can't clear the waste products from your left leg because you have restricted blood flow. And yeah, so I went through an operation in 2018 to try and get that rectified. And I don't know if it was kinking, positional, there's a bit of endofibrosis and material laying down inside the artery, as well as this kinking going on. Of 12 months after with no relief from symptoms, so nothing fixed it, went in, had ballooning done. So that was probably 12 months ago, didn't make a scrap of difference. So in this stage, I'm still suffering from the condition just as bad, but I've wasted months and months off the bike, lost heaps of training opportunities and racing opportunities to recover from it. So it's been a little bit depressing. And from that point of view, it's like, well, you know, I probably can't compete to the same levels I'd like to because I know this leg thing will kick in. That's where 24-hour racing is good because I won't be racing at the same intensity that my blood flow is going to be an issue. I'm noticing it heaps on Zwift, but the cool thing on Zwift is that I can just ride out of the seat for like an hour and I don't look that silly. And I'll often, anytime it's a high intensity or high intensity hill, it's a matter of, you know, standing up, riding out of the seat, try and keep that artery open to try and keep that blood flow going. Where anything that's sustained seating, if I'm trying to be actually in a legit road racing aero position, you know, this leg would absolutely blow up and die. So there's no way I could do a flat road race. But on Zwift, I can do, you know, I can be in this apparent tuck position to be out of my seat, riding in a position that allows for the blood flow. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge and I'll be aware of it in the race. It'll probably kick in a couple of times, but it won't actually affect performance in that event. It's more, it affects how hard I can train on specific intervals. So yeah, I really feel for people that do have this condition and they battle it through road racing and know that that's their only sport, where that's why I guess from 2012, 2013, I've sort of dropped away from marathons and have now focused more on that longer 8-hour, 24-hour distance. And that's why I can do life and still enjoy mountain biking.
Excellent. Now you've been around, you know, I think the first world title you won was back in 2009. You pretty much were dominant from 2009 through to 2016. And you've seen all the bikes, all the tech, all the equipment change between now and then. You started winning on 26-inch wheels. I think you were still on kids' wheels at around about 2010 to 2012, etc. Can you talk to us about the way that bike tech has changed, how nutrition, lights and clothing, the advances in all of those have made an impact on your racing? Does it make it easier? Is it the same? Are courses meeting up? Are competitors still as competitive? Can you give us your thoughts on the history of all that sort of stuff?
Well, that's so many things to unpack there. That's a very good question. But if I go back to 2009 in Canada and actually go back the year before in 2008, so 2008 was an absolute brutal track. So it was not that uncommon that people had to get off and walk for probably 3 or 4 times a lap. And that was myself included. So you get the sections where the dirt was just eroded out through pine forest and you had to like hit it with speed and try and get a little techie bits and then go, no, I'm going to save my legs, walk up here. There were people walking down hills. There were sections where you just go, okay, I just got to hold on and try and, you know, it's a risk. I might fall off, but I want to ride it because it's faster. The tracks were like that. They were super demanding. If I look at tracks recently, I feel they have been accommodating is probably a good way to describe that. And that's fine, but it means that people can just go in with a high level of fitness and they can succeed more. There's while there's still a skill component, it doesn't rely on being able to ride, you know, gnarly stuff. The weather's not as bad. And from that point of view, if I, you know, change that up to bike tech and bike changing, I think if I had a 29er, maybe some of these tracks would have been more rideable back in 08 and 09. It's sort of hard to compare. My 08 and 09 bikes though, they weighed 10 kilos. So they were about the same weight as the bikes I've got now. They're probably a bit more custom spec where I'd be like, yeah, titanium bolts on here. And I probably cared about those things a little bit more. But from a weight point of view, there's no difference, which means you can climb a hill at just as efficient. But where the efficiency comes into play is the comfort level. And even the difference between a 27.5 and a 29, it's that slightly bigger wheel. You notice you do roll over roots and rocks and things just so much easier without any type of, you know, friction and vibration. So it actually becomes a lot more relaxing to do that. So yeah, bikes have changed a whole stack. I know back in that 08, 09 race, we're swapping out gear cables probably every couple of laps because, the conditions were fairly, muddy and wet. I just don't feel that with the change in technology now. People just use a solid outer and there's no maintenance is less of an issue. Brake pads, you go, it's a wet race, I'm going to put metallic brake pads in and they should last for hours and hours rather than needing swapping things out. So yeah, all the changes on bikes are good, but there's still things that people are now going, do I go 100 mil or 120 mil? Or what sort of things, do I need to drop a seat post or do I not have a drop a seat post? So there's a few changes that people are still playing with to try and work out, is this extra weight going to be a overall more efficient decision or not? And in the ideal situation, I'd take over a bike that probably had that slightly bigger travel and that drop a seat post so that you can corner a little bit more confidently, faster, and probably have a little bit more fun from time to time. So yeah, lots of things that have changed with that bike. I've always had tubeless. And I guess the tire technology has changed a little bit. I used to race on 26 2-inch tires. You're going as lightweight as you could. I'm sure my tires are like 420 grams. Now I think, you're up to 29ers that are, 600 grams plus. And you're going, well, I actually want a bit more tread and a bit more width so I can get more comfort. And so I can, hit corners a little bit harder. So, but it's all decision making. I'm sure there'll still be people that are going, no, I want that 2-inch wide tire. I want it super fast rolling so I can be more efficient. And like different courses would probably, it sounds like Brazil, that'd be the ideal situation. The track was quite fast, where in Italy, there's going to be some little pinchy, there's going to be some rock sections. So it's worth having that tread. There's not going to be that long sustained fire road where you're going to get up to speed and be able to just sort of hammer it there. So yeah, lots of things you can play around with the bikes. But I think the biggest change has been lights from an early on age. So when I was starting in 08, 09, I had those candlesticks. We chuck a candlestick in, you had a 5-watt bulb on the front, and you knew it was time to change the battery when it becomes so dull you couldn't see where you're going. Where once LED kicked in, the light was either on or it was off. So you knew when you're running out, you had to rely on timing. And like even still, when I go to Brazil, I'll be going, okay, when have I started the clock? I got 5 hours. Okay, at 4.5 hours, I'm going to change lights. Do I change my helmet and my bar light at the same time? Do I have some sort of offset? There's kind of a few things around that. But yeah, lights have definitely got smaller and more efficient. But saying that, I can see there's lights that are like 4,000, 5,000 lumens. I probably only run 300 or 400 lumens. I just find you then get better shadows and you can actually see what's ahead of you rather than just, seeing white.
Yeah.
Oh, what else is in there? Nutrition.
Oh, there was nutrition and clothing. Because you're a celiac, and which makes it throws an extra challenge in terms of keeping the food up, etc. How has that changed over the course of your racing, and particularly going to Italy, which I don't think they're gluten-free friendly as much as some other countries? Are you facing any distinct challenges there that you feel you might need to overcome?
Yeah, it's an unknown. So when I went to Italy in 2017, so during that Worlds, I was feeling a little bit unwell. And my instructions to this sport crew was, guys, like I'm feeling a little bit crook. Let's just drop it back to water, get rid of the electrolyte, and just keep me on plain bread. Nothing on it. Let's go plain bread. Very simple things. And in hindsight, it's like I was making the problem worse. I was just giving myself more wheat. A couple of months after when I got diagnosed by celiac, I was like, oh. Now that explains a few things about racing and how I could have done things a little bit different in that particular event. So when I did the 24-hour a couple of weeks ago, I thought, well, to keep it simple, if I don't have a dedicated support person, I'm just going to pre-make sangers that are gluten-free. So that's going to be my main food for if I experience hunger. I've then got, G.O.A.T energy gels and enough of them to almost go exclusive on that as an energy source. And then just using, G.O.A.T electrolyte tabs that I can have them fairly weak. So I just have that, constant level of electrolyte replacement. And a simple formula like that can work, but it becomes very boring. Obviously, I've been known in the past for just smashing pizza and whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
And I've had people actually say that,
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, people have said that I don't actually ride and win. Sorry, because I'm a good rider. I actually win because I can eat whatever I want without getting crook. And it's like, oh, it's changed now. I have to be so careful. So I do ride past other people's pits and go, oh, that'd be nice. So would that, but I'll just have my plain gel and my sandwiches that I made 2 days ago. So I'll have to take bread over from Australia just in case. Like, I really don't know what it's going to be like. I'm going to have to be mindful of what am I eating for breakfast, what am I eating in the days leading up, just to make sure that I'm trying to stay as clean from a gluten point of view as possible.
Wow. Yeah, certainly will be interesting. And from what I understand, rumor has it you're not going over with the full support crew now. I think you land solo. There'll be a friend of yours coming in that'll help you a couple of laps into the race. So it'll be added complexity there as well, I dare say.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why it is very important to have a good relationship with your support crew, so they know what you can and can't eat, what you like. They know the layout of your table. So as a rider, you need to plan, am I coming to the pit? Am I going to make the call as to what I want? Or do you want to come into the pit and you get told what to eat? And so in the past, when my wife's come over, she's just passing me things, just going, here's your bottle, here's your food, here's your bottle. So as a rider, I'm not making any decisions. I just know that all I have to do is ride around and have fun. And she's the one that's going, okay, how many grams of carbs? Did you get enough salt down? Did you drink enough that lap? So she's making all those decisions. In this particular situation, I'll try and carry probably some extra food in my back pocket, just so that I can be self-managing and going, okay, it's been 1 hour. What have I eaten in this 1 hour? Have I stopped and had? Do I need something solid? Am I getting hungry? Am I consuming enough, carbohydrate? So that'll be decision making that I'll be trying to make as we go.
Right. I mean, it's fair to say that that's a reasonable overhead. I know in the past when I've raced, it's the best thing in the world has been not thinking about food, not stopping for food, etc. It looks like you're going to have to move into all that and overcome that for Finale as well. And talking about overcoming for WEMBO world champion, he's still a monster. He was a monster all the way through, snapping your heels when you were number one, when he was number two. Now the roles have reversed a little bit. Is he the one you're looking to beat, or do you just go in with a race strategy, do the best that Jason English can do, and trust in the fact that that should beat almost anyone on the day?
Well, yeah, I'll try and do the best that I can do, and that's all I aim to do. If I go to that race and I know I've left nothing in the tank at the end, at the 24 hours, I'm just going, yep, that's it. I have no regrets. I couldn't have gone harder at the start, could not gone harder at the finish. I feel like I've given it my best shot. That's all I'm aiming to do. And if that best shot means that I'm ahead of most of the field or all of the field, then that's perfectly fine. If I get beaten by 5 guys or 10 people, and I know that I've gone as hard as I can with what I've got, then that's all I can do. It's very easy to look at other people's preparation and go, oh man, like, gee, I wish I could just live there for a couple of months and be at altitude, and then I wish I could have got to, pre-ride the track for months and months, and, have 2 bikes that are the same, and have a, full support crew and those kinds of things. But yeah, I'm going over the attitude of, I can do what I can do, and that's all you can. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. It's also a chance to ride around with my mates as well. Like in that elite field, there's quite a few guys that I know, and hopefully I can stay with them long enough to have a bit of fun and enjoy the time.
Yeah, I've no doubt you'd probably be able to stay with them. I dare say they're probably asking themselves that question as well about you. I'd just like to hang out with Jace for maybe 35, 40 laps. If I could do that, that'd be great. So you've got some people helping you get to Italy. You want a quick shout out to them, and then I'm going to ask you your last question before I let you split off to the 260k race. So who are your sponsors that are getting behind you to help you get to Italy now? And is there any way that anyone can help you on race day? Rock up with a perfectly spec pivot or something?
Yeah, some gluten-free something or others. Clearly marked labels that I can read and check. Yeah, it becomes a challenge from that point of view. I can't take anything from the sideline as I used to, but yeah, big thanks to Ian Charles from Blacktown Family Dental. So he contacted me after the hunt and just said, hey, what's your plan for the Worlds? Are you going? And I was just sort of, oh, I don't know. He's like, come on, I'll help you get there. And so with his inspiration and support, I've been able to, just give me that little push to book the flights and get over there. The other thing that's made it super easy is Pete and Deline. So Pete's got a few home hardware stores in Australia out at Gilgandra and around the place. And he's like, yeah, come on over. We got a place for you to stay. So just that support, and it's the whole, it's a really good mountain bike community, but having the support of those two guys has made a huge difference in being able to come to this particular event. Lonnie from the Rats Club up in Queensland is floating around the area for work trip, and he's going to give up, a couple of days just to fly across to support, so that I'll definitely have that dedicated support out there. So just, those sort of 3 or 4 people have really got behind me, I guess, to sort of encourage me to get in and have a go, and love it. Really couldn't do it without these guys.
Yeah, excellent. And it resonates in terms of the mountain bike community. A lot of people froth to see everyone else succeed. It's great to, get behind people when we're watching them get over the line, overcome some of the challenges. We'll feel a part of that. It's one of the things that I think keeps a lot of us coming back. And lastly, you're one of the most experienced and accomplished racers that's ever thrown a leg over a bike. Now, if you had 2 pieces of advice for a young, let's picture, we'll get a young Jason English, 23, 24, 25, with time travelled in to the start line in Italy. Right, there he is, and he's walked up and asked you for 2 pieces of advice for this race that's about to take place in Finale. What would they be? If you even
it's funny. It's funny because the first race that I went in, I'm pretty sure I didn't know what chamois cream was all about, and I didn't know what caffeine was all about.
Right.
Those two things alone are the make or break. I don't know how I did the first 24 hours without caffeine. Well, the first few 24 hours, I had no idea about caffeine at all. And it's, purely just based on the whole adrenaline and the whole, problem shooting. And you're always thinking, so, I could bust it through there. Whether I'm just getting older and feel like I need that nanny nap, but I just, definitely need to work towards something. But with staying awake, I've worked out if you can keep the pace on, keep your heart rate up, you can keep a little bit of caffeine going and keep your brain activity happening, you can normally stay awake. As soon as you lose a couple of those, as soon as your heart rate comes down, your body's like, yeah, I'm ready for this. Let's just have a lay down wherever you can. And I've slept in some very unusual places on, from while I was riding bike packing. It's like, that looks good. And it's not. It'd be like the hardest bit of road, and you can sleep on it when your body's in that, perfect state, low heart rate, and away you go.
Right. So the two things you'd say to a young Jason English, look after the bottom and look after the top. That is chamois cream and caffeine, and everything else will take care of itself.
It's all about comfort.
That's excellent. Okay, I'm here with Jason English. That's all the questions I had for him. There's many more, but I'm conscious of recording time and people's attention span. It has been a true pleasure talking to you again. Good luck for Italy. Looking forward to seeing you over there. I think as a celebration of 24-hour racing, this is going to be awesome. Having you, running around at the top of the pile is going to be, fantastic. Again, thanks a lot, Jason English.
No problem. Thank you. See you there.
See you there.